Hey y'all, welcome to my kitchen. I'm so glad that you met me here today. I am Barbara if you're new here, and I am in Tennessee in Zone 7B. And today we're in the kitchen. It's all about, especially during this time of the year and when it's fall, we spend a little less time in the garden just because the garden is much slower than it is in the summer. And we do a lot of things inside, like preserving and just taking care of, cooking from scratch and just getting all the things in the house done. And so today on this video, it's all about apples. I'm gonna be doing a couple of different things with some apples that I bought from an orchard, and then some of the apples I actually did get from the store as well. So the first thing we're gonna do is prepare apples for apple pie filling. This technique that I'm doing, I actually did it on a video last year. We really liked it. I did not have enough. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough this year, but we're gonna try the same method again when it comes to apple pie filling. And then also on this video, we're going to make applesauce. And y'all, it has been 3 years since I actually made applesauce. That was one of the very first things that I learned how to can. So we're gonna do it again. I went through this phase where I just wasn't feeling applesauce. And now I'm back on the applesauce train. I've been buying it from the store for like the last, 6 months. And I make sure there's always some in my refrigerator because I like it when it's cold. After you open it, you put it in the refrigerator. And I like it cold anyway. But I have been on this applesauce kick. And I'm like, I need to make my own applesauce and quit giving Publix all my money for this applesauce. So we're gonna make applesauce again. This is like coming way back full circle because that is one of the first things that I learned how to can. So let's see if your girl still got it. But first, let's get these apples ready for apple pie filling. So I have my KitchenAid, and I've talked about this attachment before. This is an attachment for KitchenAid. It is a peeler, a corer, and a slicer. And I think it's a spiralizer too. I've never used the spiralizer part, but I use it every year when it comes to these apples. This is the second year I'm using it. I don't remember the cost. It might be between $80 to $100. My husband got it for me as a gift, and it's worth every penny, even though I may only use it once a year because it's gonna save us a lot of time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these apples peeled and cored. I have a bowl of lemon water that we can put them in so they don't get brown too quick. And we're gonna be on our way to making apple pie filling. Let's do it. Okay, that made that quick work. So I got this many apples. Not enough. I wish I would have bought more, but it was, I didn't buy more. I wish I would have, but I think they're already out of season, the Golden Delicious, because the orchard that I go to is usually a different apple every couple of weeks based on when they're in season. But anyway, we're gonna work with what we have. We're gonna go ahead and season it up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add some salt, and I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it just a little bit. Let's see. This is probably enough for 2.5 pies. So let's start off with, I don't know. For one pie, we'll do, so let's do a tablespoon. We'll do a tablespoon of salt. And then I'm gonna do about 2 to 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. We're gonna mix it all in. I'm gonna do some vanilla as well. And let me see if I have any nutmeg. Yep. Let's do some nutmeg. Again, I'm just eyeballing this. A little bit of vanilla. Just, the standard or whatever you put in a apple pie. And then make sure I don't spill this. I'm gonna probably do 2 to 3 cups of brown sugar. Let's do 2.5. Okay. And I like to taste it before I put the flour in there because I just don't want to taste the flour. It already smells so good. So very good. Man, I wish I would have gotten more apples. But I got the bushel when I did. Again, when I bought them a month ago, I was traveling a lot, and I still have a lot of travel in the month of October. And then things will settle down. So I'm like, am I gonna have time to process 2 big old bushels of apples? And y'all, I bought those apples a month ago. And it's like to the point like, girl, you're gonna either waste your money because you're gonna wait till they're too far gone, or you're gonna get in here and do something with these apples. So I got in here today and did something with these apples. And apples will hold in your refrigerator, you know, easily 3 to 4 months. But I think because I left them on the counter for a couple of weeks before I put them in the refrigerator in the crisper part, by the time we put them in there, they had already started to deteriorate. That's the wrong word. They weren't looking as great. Like, these are still good. I've already tasted them. I mean, before I peeled them. They're still good. I had to throw away a couple of bad ones, but overall, they were still good. So let's taste one and just see. That's good. Perfect amount of salt. I think it's perfect just the way it is. Let's add the flour. The flour just helps it stay together for when you cook it. Let's see. Here we go. So we're gonna add about about 3/4 cup of flour. I just don't like that flour, that raw flour taste. I'm excited already. Now, there's other apples that they have in season right now, but because I used these Golden Delicious last year and that pie was so good, I really don't want to try anything else. But y'all, what do y'all use for your apple pie? What apples do you like? Let me know, because if they're still in season, which apples will be in season for like another month or so. I don't know what varieties, but let me know what kind you use. And if I see it, then I can grab it and I can try it. But this right here, I know this is my apple for apple pie filling, is the Golden Delicious. It worked fantabulous. Okay, looking good. Okay, so now it's decision time. What do I want to do? So the method I used last year was, I got a pie plate. I actually put a piece of parchment paper, a large piece of parchment paper in the pie plate, filled it up with apples, wrapped up the parchment paper, and then I put that in the freezer and let it freeze. Then I took that frozen apple pie in the parchment and then put that in a freezer bag by itself, and then returned the pie plate back to my cupboard. So what that does is, I had pie filling in the shape of a pie plate already ready to go. So all I had to do was add a top and a bottom crust. I always try and want to keep pie crust in my freezer and make them ahead of time. I haven't quite gotten there yet. It's always in the moment. But if you had pie crust already in your freezer and you had this already in the shape of a pie, then literally, y'all, all you have to do is just go pull it out, put it in the pie crust, bake it. So if you have like some, you know, I was about to say unwanted company, unexpected company, you can just put it in the oven and you got a pie in like 55 to 60 minutes. And they're going to think you like cousin of Betty Crocker. I mean, yeah. So it makes it very convenient, especially if you want something sweet and all of that. When I say my freezers are full, y'all, my freezers are full. So I'm trying to debate, do I want to put one in the pie shape, and then do I just want to freeze the rest in smaller portions? And in that way, if I want to do something different, like I do want to try apple crisp. I've never done apple crisp, but I've been wanting to try it. So that may be on the tap for this fall. I could do that. Let's get a pie plate, and as I'm thinking, we're going to find out where I land. Okay, we're definitely going to do one, and let's just see how much we have left. Now, last year I needed more juice. Of course, the juice in the crust, to me, is the best part. So, y'all see what I'm doing? I just have that in there. Like, that's plenty enough apples. I don't want it to be like so full, overflowing. Okay, so then I literally wrap it up. And y'all, I got this idea from Becky at Acre Homestead. She is one of my favorites. And she said she got it from somebody else. So, y'all, that's what happens when we share. All ideas do not have to be our own and be original. We can copy because we're all in this thing together. I'm gonna set this one on top of it to make it. Okay, let's do one more because I got more stuff. I'm gonna find some room in the freezer to freeze this because I just need the space to freeze it until it's frozen. And then after that, it won't be in the pie plate. I can just save it in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. That's what we'll do. Now, can you can pie filling? You can. I've done that before too. It's been a while since I've done it that way. You can do that too. I just found that it didn't taste as good to me. And it could have been because I used a different apple at the time. That could have been it. But this way last year worked majorly. Okay. So we're just gonna fold that up. Just like that. I'm gonna go put these in the freezer. And then this, I'm just gonna save in a Ziploc bag. This is how much I have left. That's probably enough for 2 more pies, which is excellent. But I only have 2 pie plates and I'm gonna get this project done today. So I'm gonna put this in a Ziploc bag and I can always pour it into a pie plate or I can use it for apple crisp, like in a different size dish. I'll have some options. Okay, so I got those in the freezer and then I was able to get 1 bag's worth here. I might could use this for 2 pies or just something different, but it's just all fit in 1 bag. So this will go in the freezer as well. So we at least got 3 pies. So that's better than last year, which I had 2. But I think I'm gonna be able to get 4, or I'll be able to at least get maybe a pie and some apple turnovers or something like that. So that project is done for the apple pie filling. Next, we're gonna move on to our applesauce. Okay guys, so we are getting the apples ready for the applesauce. So here is about 6 pounds, 12 ounces of apples. I have more apples, but what I'm gonna do is I have my juicer steamer going. So this is a great tool if you don't have it. The bottom you fill up with water. The middle part is where the juice is, and then I'm gonna put the apples at the top. It's gonna steam from the bottom. It's gonna make the apple soft. So the reason why I'm doing it this way instead of just putting apples in water is that I'll be able to capture apple juice as well. So I'm just going to cut these apples in quarters. I'm not going to peel them at all because when we get done with this, we're gonna actually run these through a food mill. And that's gonna take care of all of the cores, any seeds that I missed, and things like that. Also, when you're doing your applesauce, if you want it to be like a rosy color, you keep the skins on. If you wanted more of that yellow color, you can peel the skins, but that's just one extra step that I don't have to do. So, like I said, I'm just gonna put these in quarters and then just kind of go from there instead of doing them that small. These, I'm doing a mixture of apples. I have Honeycrisp, I have Golden Delicious, and then I also have a snacking apple. The Golden Delicious I got from an orchard where I usually buy my apples in bulk. These were some that were left over. And then the rest of these apples I got from Costco. So I just got whatever they had. When you're making applesauce, it's usually good to use different kinds of apples just because it'll give you more of a complex flavor and a better flavor because you have different apples mixed together, sweet, tart, whatever it is you like. I've never made it with just one type of apple. I've always just made it with several different kinds of apples, but I mean, I guess you can because when you go in the store, they have like those little applesauce cups, and I've seen one that's labeled Granny Smith. So, yeah, I really got to sharpen my knives before I hurt myself. The most dangerous knife is not a sharp knife, it's actually a dull knife. I always, like, I don't have time, but I better, because otherwise I'm gonna be hurt myself. So I'm just gonna finish cutting these up, putting them at the top, and then I'm gonna weigh out the next batch that I have. I'll let you know what the total amount is, and get those washed up and quartered so where all the apples will be in the top. Okay, all the apples are in the canner. We ended up with almost 11 pounds of apples, which is perfect. I'm using the recipe because we're gonna can this. I'm using the recipe from the Ball book. Where is my book? Okay, it's back there. But the recipe calls for between 7 to, I think, 10 pounds of apples for the recipe that I'm using. So we are right on it. You can see it is up to the top of apples. It's up to the top. So I'm gonna let this process. I actually have a meeting that I have to go to. I would say, it's been a while since I've done this, but I would think in an hour it may be done. But I'll check back in with you. What I'm looking for is for the apples to get soft, and then we're gonna mill it and turn it into applesauce, and then we're gonna can it. So I'll meet you back here when it's time for the apples to be done. Okay guys, we have our apples, and I'm using my food mill. This is actually called a tomato strainer, but you can do more than tomatoes in it. It comes with 3 different screens. This screen with large holes, this one was very tiny holes, and this is the one that has like holes that's in between this size and this size. So you can do pumpkin, berries, you can do salsa, you can do tomatoes. Now I used this for my tomatoes last year for the first time. It is electric instead of a hand crank. And the tomato sauce, I think if I remember correctly, I was having, it came out okay, but I was having problems with this being hung up the chute or whatever where the stuff gets processed. And I had several comments saying I was using the wrong screen. Now, I'll be honest, the directions were not clear or are not clear on what screen to use for the applesauce. So I am deducing and guessing. And I tried to find it online, I couldn't find it. It just says that you can do applesauce, but it doesn't say which particular screen. So we're gonna try this screen that's in the middle in terms of holes and see how it works. But you can see that our apples got all nice and soft. So let's just try it and see what happens. It has a really large hopper, which I like. So I like this strainer. But let's put our apples in here and let's just see what happens. Let's do a test. So I have a bowl for it to come out of the chute, and then I have where it should spit out the seeds and the peel. Looks like it's working. Now, I'm looking at the texture of the applesauce and making sure this is the texture that I want. Yeah, it's smooth. Okay, let's keep going with it. I'm gonna fill this all the way up as much as I can into the hopper. I really like that this is electric and not a hand crank. I like the fact that the hopper, I wanna say the hopper like holds like 1 gallon. Like, it's pretty big. I'm almost thinking like, am I gonna even have enough applesauce to put in a jar? Because this whole thing is not full, and you can see I got a little bit coming out, but we're just gonna roll with it and see how much we get. I think the recipe said we should be able to get 6 pints out of it. This is all the apples I have, so this is what it's going to be. So let's turn this on and see what happens. You can see there is where the peels and the seeds are coming out. So much easier. So I'm clearing this out so that it has room. So yeah, y'all, we're gonna have some applesauce. Absolutely. And you can see the peels and the seeds are coming out right there, and pretty dry, if I must say so myself. So yeah, this should be full by the end because I just got a whole nother half a pot left. So I'm gonna keep doing this, and then I'll show you how much we get once it comes through the mill. But I know that this is kind of noisy, so I'll go ahead and time lapse this part or voice it over, and we'll see how much applesauce we actually end up getting. Okay guys, that took literally, I would say, about 6 to 7 minutes. Easy peasy. Much better than hand cranking, much better than trying to use one of those stainless steel food meals that you kind of put over a bowl. Now look, I started there. When I first did applesauce 2 or 3 years ago, I had one of those stainless steel things that almost looks like a steamer basket. It has like a little lid on it, and you put the apples in and you kind of like turn it around. I started with that. Then, did I go to this? No, I went to like a hand crank one before, and then I got this one last year. I really like this again. So you start with wherever you are. But if you're gonna be doing large batches, and to me, this was not even a huge batch, it was just 10 pounds. If I had more apples, it would have made sense for me to do probably 20 or 30 pounds to have applesauce for like a whole year. But we didn't plan that far in advance on this particular one. And I'm really the only one, besides my daughter, she loves applesauce. So I'm gonna send some back with her to college. Yeah, she can take a jar or two when she comes home for the holidays. But besides me and her, the boys, they don't eat the applesauce. So anyway, I don't need a ton. But I just thought, since I had the apples and I hadn't done it before, it'd be a good thing to try again. Let me show you how much. Well, first, let me show you. This is what came out. So that's like all the dry parts, the seeds and the skin. And then look at our applesauce so far. We got a whole thing full of it. It has a nice color already. So now what I'm gonna do with this applesauce, I'm gonna actually take it to the stove, and I'm gonna add our sugar and stuff, and then let it come to a boil, and then let it simmer, and then we'll be ready to put it in jars to can. I think I'm gonna actually use my digital canner for this. Depends on how many jars I think I'm gonna get. It says you should get 6 pint jars or 3 quart. I think I can get 5 in my digital canner. So I may go ahead and just get my stock pot going to do it in the water bath canner and not my digital canner. Although the digital canner will be a little bit easier. I'll decide. I'm gonna decide. So I'm gonna add sugar and again, boil, simmer, and then we can add whatever spices at this point that you wanna add. I'm gonna actually taste it and see how sweet it already is. Let's just see. But there's nothing added at this point. There's no salt, there's no nothing. Oh. It needs some more sugar for my taste, but it actually already tastes decent. Like this tastes more like a unsweetened applesauce. So if you have issues with your sugar or something like that, you can eat it just like this, really. It's good, it has a good flavor profile. So now we just need some more sweetener for my taste. And then I might add a couple of spices, and then that's basically it. So applesauce is one of the easiest things I think to learn to can. which is what I started with. I started with applesauce, and then I started with jellies. That's how I learned to can, with those two things when it came to water bath canning. And then on the pressure canning side, I learned beans. Water bath canning and pressure canning are different, definitely. I know that you guys, I had put a poll up about what class would you like me to teach next, and it seems like canning is the class that you guys want next. So we will be doing a canning workshop the first part of November. And so if you know that you already want to be a part of that canning workshop, just go ahead and say yes below. Put yes to canning in the comment below. That way I know that I really do have interest, and I'll make sure that you're tagged when I release it. And then let me know in the comments if you, because my thought is I'm probably going to do water bath canning because that is the simplest thing to teach to a beginner, and that is the lowest point of entry, meaning you don't have to spend a lot of money to do water bath canning, versus with pressure canning, you gotta invest a few dollars, just a few dollars. But we'll see. But just put down in the comments what you guys would like to see and if you are interested. Now let's take this to the stove and add our sugar, get it boiling, simmer down, and get ready to can the jars. While I am getting my apples ready for the jars, I'm going ahead and to extract this apple juice that came out of the middle compartment of this steamer juicer. That's one of the reasons why I love this particular piece of equipment, because you can walk away with two products in one. So in the top, of course, is where we loaded the apples. Those softened apples is what we use to make applesauce. But in the middle compartment of this pot, it collected the juice. So you see me here just draining the juice into a quart jar. I'm gonna end up getting 2 full-size quart jars of juice, which is excellent. That's 64 ounces of just pure pressed apple juice. And then there's a little bit left in here, and I realized when I put the small cup down that there was more apple juice left than I thought. So I had ended up switching cups and actually getting a bigger quart-sized jar to capture the apple juice. But I love using this product just for this reason alone. Okay, y'all, I am back. It is time to fill our jars. I decided to use my water bath canner, which is really nothing but a stock pot. And so that's what I was saying about water bath canning is an easy point of entry if you're interested into canning, because really all you need is a stock pot. There's no special water bath canner, so to speak. But also I hope that you saw as I was time-lapsing that we were able to get apple juice. I have 2 quarts of apple juice just from the byproduct of me steaming the apples. So I will probably eventually can this, but right now we're just gonna can the applesauce. Our applesauce is ready to go. I added in some cane sugar, some cinnamon, and a little bit of salt to balance out the sweetness. Y'all, it tastes so good. You can eat it just like this, but we're gonna can it so that we can have it on the shelf. I have all of my supplies here. I got my jars, I got lids, I got bands. I also want to take a moment to shout out ForJars. I am an affiliate with them, but even before I was an affiliate, which I just became an affiliate like maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I was using ForJars for a year before I started even talking about it, and I love their products. This is a box of 100 lids. If you go to the link in my bio, there's a discount code to get 5% off for any purchase that you make with ForJars. My link is in there, but I started off using Ball, and Ball is good, but once I started using ForJars, which I never really had a lot of things unsealed, but I did have some lid failures with Ball. I will say with ForJars, I've never had a lid failure except one time, and that was really my error. And so I really like their product, and that is primarily what I use now when it comes to my lids, specifically is ForJars canning lids. So definitely you can get them in packs of 100 regular wide mouth. They also have a vacuum sealer kit. They have the jar opener that is real handy to open up your jars once they've sealed. They have a whole suite of products, so definitely go check them out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this fill and see how many jars that we get. So I have my applesauce here. I got my funnel. It is thick, which is great, the way that I like it. And I'm thinking hopefully we'll get 6 jars at least. And we're gonna leave a 1/2 inch head space. I really wish I would have bought more apples, for sure. And I looked at my orchard to see what apples they have in season now for the rest of the month. It's something that you can't find in the store. One is a Gold Rush, one is Enterprise. I don't remember the other two, but it's not like your traditional ones that you see in the grocery store. But let me know if you guys have any experience with those. I am gonna look up the flavor profiles of each of those. And if it suits for applesauce, then I will go back and get some more, and so I can get some more applesauce on the shelf. So I think we'll get 6, maybe, but definitely not more than that. So I'll usually buy a big thing of applesauce from the store, and since I'm really the only one that's eating it, it'll probably last me, I would say, a month or so. And that's me eating it probably 2 times a week. I have some left, but I'm gonna leave it. I don't know if it'll make a whole jar. So let me get everything up to a 1/2 inch headspace before I add any more to a jar. So I'm going to debubble using this tool and see where I am in terms of headspace. So I'm gonna finish this up, put a lid on it, and get it ready for the canner, and we'll see if we have enough to make jar number 6. I'm not sure that I'm gonna have enough. Okay, guys, the canning process just stopped. I processed them for 20 minutes, and then you let them sit 5 minutes in the canner before you take them out, just to kind of let them calm down, cool down. I'm actually headed for an appointment, so I have the timer going. I have 3 more minutes left. I'm gonna take them out, set them on the towel, and that's where they will be for 12 hours. And then after 12 hours, I'll check the lids to make sure that they sealed. I was only able to get 5. And then I have another 1/2 jar that I'll just put in the refrigerator since I can't seal it. And then on the apple juice, I'll strain it just to make sure there's nothing, so that it's just pure clean juice and not any like peels or anything like that in it. And if I can it, I'll go ahead and can it tonight. Or if I decide to not can it, I'll just put it in the refrigerator and then add some sugar to it when it's time to drink it. But fresh apple juice is going to be oh so good. I would love to know, what apple recipes are you doing this fall? Let me know. Let me know if you're doing applesauce, or what is your favorite go-to recipe during apple season. Put it down in the comments below. Let me know so I can go look it up, check it out, and see if I want to add it to my list. Thank you guys so much for joining me in my kitchen today as we did all things apples. I feel good. Y'all, I forgot about my apple pie filling. Okay, it should be frozen by now. So I need to go get my apple pie filling out of the freezer tonight and put them in bags. And then we have our applesauce set. I'm gonna see and look at the flavor profile of the apples that are left in season and see if they'll make a good applesauce. If so, we will try it. I'm assuming any kind will work as long as it's a good blend. So if so, we'll do more applesauce, so we'll have more to put on the pantry shelf for this year. But I hope that your gardens are doing well. I hope that your fall projects are going well. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.